There are a number of ways that you can go about getting your clients into Finagraph. And for that matter, you don't even necessarily have to get your clients in. So think of this on one level in terms of the fact that you can simply use Finagraph on your client data and then take the information and present it to the client in any number of ways without actually involving them in the actual use of the product. So we're going to talk about that. But there are more direct ways that you can involve your client in the process, especially if you think you have a client who, based on who they are and what you know about them, would actually really be interested in something like this. And there's a number of ways. The best way really is there's going to be an option that I'm going to show you where you can get a shareable link. And that enables you to send them a URL that they can click on in an email, which will take them to a live and interactive version of the Finagraph. That's the best way to get them to take a look at it and play around with what it does and how it works. The other way is that you can add them as a user. So you can invite them right into the product to use it along with you. What I'm going to suggest, and you'll see this explained in more detail during the remainder of the lesson, is that my favorite way to involve your client in the process is to invite them to do an online remote session with you so that you get the opportunity to actually walk them through it. Client by client, it's going to be different. So depending on your gauge on how that client is going to interact with a product like this, you'll have to make a decision. In some cases, you probably can just send them the link and know that they'll play around with it and they'll get it. In other cases, you're going to want to make sure you have the opportunity to walk them through it so they can see the value. Once you're in this process, and assuming you are directly involved with them, when you're sharing it with them, you have two options. One is to start with the sample data set that Finagraph provides you as soon as you take an account. So you can show them what it could look like. And then at the end of that session, if you get them excited, and presumably you will, you can say something to them like, would you like to see your own company inside this Finagraph? More than likely, by the time they've seen everything it can do, they're going to say yes immediately. They won't even hesitate. The other way is to, ahead of time, actually import their data into Finagraph and then show them their own data right from the get-go. But you have to decide if that's something your client's going to be comfortable with. Let's go ahead and see how this works and what it looks like in terms of the different options you have with respect to showing your clients how they can get into Finagraph. How to get your clients into Finagraph. If you're an accounting or bookkeeping professional, I am aware that you probably see the value right away in terms of what this can do, the kind of information it can provide. And at the very start, you might even consider not even telling your clients, but just using Finagraph with your client's data and then grabbing the information out of the Finagraph and you can email it to them in reports. And we're going to look in a future lesson on what that looks like. But for now, I just want to show you how you can sort of give your client access to this information. And there are a number of different ways. So the first way is you can get a shareable link to the Finagraph. And that's probably the best way. So I'm going to go into one of these companies that I've created. And once you're in the company, right in your options menu on the right hand side, you'll see here where it says get a shareable link. When you click on that, you may not have anything here. You may have to actually, if I click expire this link now, for example, then this is what you'll see when you've never done it before. So you create a shareable link. And as you can see, you can copy this and send it to somebody in an email. You can also set an expiration date on it. There's more though. You can actually set the level of permissions that go with this. When you create the shareable link, Finagraph creates kind of like a user for this link. So once you've gotten it, click close and come over here to users. And you'll see where it's essentially created a user based on that shareable link. In this view, you can click here and change the permissions so that when you send this link to somebody, such as, let's say, your client, then you can say, hey, come check this out, and you can give them read, write, and admin permissions. And you can read here by clicking on the eye what the different levels of permissions offer the person you're sending this to. Either way, once you send them this link, they will be able to get access to a fully interactive Finagraph, which is probably the best way to share it with them so that they can actually get the full flavor for how this works. Let's say for some reason that you don't want to send it to them, whatever reason that might be. Let's go back to the client dashboard. If you wanted to just email them the whole entire Finagraph, let's say as like a report, then what you can do is just use your browser's print feature. So in Chrome, and it seems to be built well for Chrome, you can go over to print And Chrome has some nice printing options. If you go to more settings over here, you can actually set your margins, play around with headers and background graphics and all that kind of stuff. And notice here I've got this Nitro Pdf Creator, similar in concept to Qt PDF Writer. These are tools that you can easily browse the internet, find and install, and they act like printers so that you can print anything to a PDF. And I can certainly print that here, and notice it's set up to format very nicely so that this report can be sent to your client in the form of a PDF. Of course, you're going to lose the interactive capabilities that you have by sending them the shareable link. So that's a big reason why that's sort of a preferred method. You can also print a section by highlighting it and saying print in Chrome. So if I highlight this whole section here and right-click and choose print, again, it comes in formatted really nicely. So I can create a PDF just out of the one section. You'll notice down with some of the other widgets, I'll call them, you also have options specifically for downloading. So I can download images in different formats or a PDF so that I can then embed that in an email or in a Word document, whatever I want to do, and send it to the client. So there's a number of ways of sharing this information with your client. And in terms of trying to get your client sort of sold on this or using it or sold on you using it for them, then this is a great way to do it. What I really highly recommend, over and above anything I've shown you so far, is invite them into a one-on-one session with you. And you know your clients, so you know if they're going to be comfortable with the idea of you having linked up their QuickBooks data with this service. So if you are concerned that they might not be comfortable with that, then of course what you can do is you can use the sample company in Finagraph. Invite your clients into a one-on-one session. But what I strongly suggest you do is prior to that session, be prepared, stand ready to link up their company data to Finagraph, because what you're going to want to do is take them into the sample company, walk them around what they're looking at. Walk them around everything that's in the screen. Talk to them about the ratios and what they say about the company. Of course, you should spend time ahead of time studying it yourself so that you're prepared well to explain these things to your client. I would actually start with the quick ratio. That's usually the easiest one to explain. It's the one people seem to get the most because it refers to a very simple concept. It's how, based on your current assets, your cash and your accounts receivable, how many times over could you pay off your liabilities if you needed to? And that ratio, this ratio alone, I think, really strongly highlights something that clients actually understand and therefore care about. And when you start there and explain, look, there's lots more here, as you can see, and it gets you even more and more powerful information as you go on, then you're going to get them interested. But break them in slow. So I would start there and walk them through everything they're seeing here. Walk them through all the different areas and get them excited about Finagraph by showing it to them, by putting the product into their hands. One of the reasons my suggestion is that no matter who the client is, you make every effort to get them involved directly with you in the process of showing them what Finagraph is, what it does, and how it works, is the interactive nature of Finagraph. If you send them a screenshot, for example, they're not going to get the interactive aspect of it. However, if you have them in there live with you, you can show them the interactivity. For example, if you have a company data set that you're looking at that's got accounts receivable, one of the coolest things you can probably show them is the accounts receivable graph. And in particular, what you can show them that I think is really cool and very compelling about this is, using an example of my own experience, I was looking at one of my client companies through this, and there was a large concentration of receivables from one particular client. It was kind of an anomaly. So I wanted to be able to remove that from the equation to see what the rest of the picture, and for that matter, what I felt was more of reality, would look like. And Finagraph lets you do this very easily by simply clicking on that client name, and it removes it from the graph and reconfigures the entire accounts receivable graph. So it's visual, and it's very easy to interact with it such that you can quickly get very useful and valuable data and present that to your client. Then, when it's all said and done and you get to the end and you've walked them through, what you can say to them is, hey, how would you like to see your own company in here? And if they're excited enough, more than likely, they're going to say, by all means, I would love to. What do we have to do? And then that's why you want to be prepared ahead of time for this, because you're going to just need to have your their accounting data open. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, you're going to want that QuickBooks file open. If you're using QuickBooks Online, be logged into that company. Just have it on a tab somewhere else. And if you're using Xero, which Finagraph also works with, then be logged into their Xero company, so that you can access the data quickly and easily, so that when you get to that moment and they say, yeah, I'd love to see our company in this, then you're ready to just get in there, link it up, and let it rip. Now, of course, the other way, and this is if your clients feel comfortable, and possibly the best way, is to just go straight to using your client's own company data, so that when you present it to them, you don't even have to get over that hump. You can show them based on their own data. And you're going to want to focus on the comparisons that Finagraph gives them to the industry averages, and you're also going to want to show them, what we're going to show you later on in this course, how you can also set your own goals as benchmarks rather than using the industry data to manage the information that's shown here, to manage the the obvious goal of improving your debt to equity ratio, your quick ratio, and your current ratio, and all these things that you can do here. So be prepared to show them all that. Get your client in here in any of the number of ways that I've shown you. There's one more way that I haven't shown you yet, which is go over here to users and add them in as a user. You actually got a glimpse of this when I showed you how this renders the shareable link in here, but you can also click right here, add a user, email, name, phone, and set their rights level, and then send activation. It's that easy. Those are the ways you can get your clients into Finagraph. That's going to be the best way that you have of selling Finagraph to your clients, is by getting them in here and letting them see it for themselves. As always, if you have any questions and you're an enrolled student at schoolofbookkeeping.com, use our answers forum. Otherwise, feel free to take advantage of our online forums, or better yet, sign up for schoolofbookkeeping.com so you can use the answers forum. As always, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. If your experience is anything like mine, then you're going to have a lot of confidence by the time you've gotten to this point that it should be fairly easy to get your clients sold on using a product like Finagraph because of what it can do for them. Because most of our clients, as accounting and bookkeeping professionals, are not numbers people. They do what they do. So having the ability to present them with something like this that enables them to understand the numbers of their company in a way that makes it easy for them to understand is going to be pretty powerful. As you can see, it shouldn't be too difficult to get your clients into Finagraph and get them sold on it. Next, we're going to take a look at how to get Finagraph started in terms of linking to your accounting software.